And if the cloud bursts thunder in your ear, you shout and no one seems to hear. And if the band you're in start playing different tunes, I'll see you on the dark side of the moon. Ooh. I know what you're thinking, Mr. Morgan. You sing the Beatles much better than you sing Pink Floyd. Maybe that's what, what you were thinking at all. I'm thinking that it's really cold outside, so we're going to come back in. The moon that you're just looking at, while I did my rendition of Pink Floyd's Brain Damage from the album Dark Side of the Moon. I'm sure you've all heard it. The moon that you're looking at is called Waxing Gibbous. Waxing Gibbous. Let me get a spell check on Gibbous. Gibbous. We just left the first quarter moon. Actually, it would have been this morning at like 6 a.m. and moved to Waxing Gibbous, and we're I think 6 or 7 days away from a full moon. So something to keep on your radar. Full moon. That's a little review of chapter of Unit 8, Lesson 3. Yesterday, for homework, you read Lesson 4, all about the solar system. I was blown away by some of the interesting facts in this. The history of astronomy at the beginning is interesting. I definitely want you to take note of Copernicus, the Polish astronomer who came up with the heliocentric sun in the center. Previously, it was believed that, the Earth has to be at the center because human beings are so important. But Copernicus said no, the sun was at the center. Copernicus was not the first one to think this, but he developed the theory more fully. There were Greeks, specifically a Greek guy named Ptolemy who thought this, but Copernicus took it a little further. Kepler, who showed that the orbits around the sun aren't perfect circles, but ellipses. Let's see here. What else? Newton spoke about how the planets stay in their orbits because of gravity and inertia. And they go over some of the telescopes and the astronauts, the probes, the space shuttles, and space stations. Really cool stuff. I was most fascinated, though, by kind of these fast facts that they gave on some of the planets. Mercury is covered with craters. Temperatures on Venus reach 500 Celsius. Keep in mind that Celsius, as opposed to Fahrenheit, Celsius, a lower temperature is more agreeable. Like you might go, let's see, zero Celsius is freezing. You might go swimming. I think at like 30, like a nice warm day to go swimming in the pool might be like 30 or something, 30 Celsius. So 500 Celsius is extremely, extremely hot. Earth, that's a funny planet. It says Earth's atmosphere makes it suitable for life. Mars, iron oxide or rust gives Mars its reddish color. Let's see here. Let's move on. Jupiter has the four largest moons. Jupiter's four largest moons were observed by Galileo in 1610. Winds on Saturn can blow at 500 meters per second. Uranus, the axis of Uranus is tilted toward the sun. So if we're on Uranus right now, we'd all be like, this. Think about it. Earth's axis is tilted at that, what we said, like 22 degrees, I think, about like this. If on Uranus, the axis is tilted toward the sun. Pretty fascinating. Neptune, it takes 165 Earth years to orbit the sun. So in order to go around that orbit, that ellipsis, it's going to take Neptune, let's see here, 60,190 Earth days. So an Earth day is 24 hours, one spin, one rotation. It's for a year, basically a year on Neptune is 60,190 days. All pretty interesting stuff. At the end, we get comets, asteroids, and meteoroids. Let's go over the answers really quick on page 389. The large rocks that are found in a belt between Mars and Jupiter are called asteroids. Number 2, they wanted for the main idea that you have the sun at the center of the solar system. Details, rocky planets include Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. These are collectively called gas planets, while Pluto, no, excuse me, I read that wrong. The rock planets are Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, while Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are the gas planets. So you've got to be able to differentiate between a rocky planet and a gas planet. And then finally, don't forget, Pluto is a dwarf planet. Pluto has been the one that's kind of been on the outs the past few years, but he's still a planet, just a dwarf planet. And then the other aspect of the solar system, the other detail that they want you to include, is comets, asteroids, and meteoroids all orbit the sun. Number 3, critical thinking. Why might it be better for some experiments to be done in space or someplace from Earth? Give an example of a variable that such an experiment might test. And in space, there's no air. The gravity is different. And, so there's a million things that you could test in a zero gravity situation or with no gravity. Use your imagination. You could have a lot of fun with that, actually. You see what your Hot Wheels would do, or what would a plant do, or how would zero gravity affect sound. So, or the lack of air. How would no air affect sound or something? Obviously, there'd be some complications in actually doing these experiments and tests, but wouldn't it be interesting if we could? Number 4, which is the largest planet in the solar system? And that would be B, Jupiter. And then finally, number 5, how does Earth compare with other objects in the solar system? Earth is the only planet with oxygen and liquid water. Earth is smaller than the gas giants, the gas planets. Earth is larger than comets and asteroids. It's a quick lesson 3 review. Go ahead and check your answers. Make any corrections that you need to. For homework, before we move on to stars and constellations, let's go ahead and spend a little bit more time talking about our solar system. And I think that it would be, a kind of good reinforcement of just creating a visual of the solar system. If you want to draw the solar system, and make sure you color in, that you add details. I'd like to see asteroids and meteoroids and ellipses to show the orbit around the sun. I'd like all the planets in their proper order. You could do that. If you want to make models, if you have clay, you could do that. If you have little, foam balls or anything like that, and you want to try to make a model that way, that's cool too. Drawing's probably the easiest and most straightforward, drawing and coloring. But if you've got some other idea and you want to make it and take a picture, that's cool too. Let's keep it to a one-day project. You don't have to go overboard with it, but just make a small model of the solar system or a small drawing, and have fun with it, and make sure it's to scale, right? That you want to make Saturn or Jupiter obviously have to be much bigger than Earth, and the sun has to be bigger than Mercury. One last thing before we sign off here. I always had a good, I don't know if they still teach this in younger grades or older grades, but we always had an acronym that we used to remember the order of the planets. It's My Very Educated Mother Just Served Us 9 Pizzas, but since Pluto's not technically a planet anymore, it would have to change it to My Very Educated Mother Just Served Us Noodles, right? And we'd have My, Mercury, Very, Venus, Educated, Earth, Mother, Mars, Just, Jupiter, Served, Saturn, Us, Uranus, and then Noodles, Neptune. So that was kind of a fun way that I've always remembered it. My Very Educated Mother Just Served Us Noodles. All right, cool. Thanks, guys.